Every life happens in seasons, and yours does too. You just need to find out which season you are in right now, and then you can go from there. Why do I think that life happens in seasons and not just goes on like a flow? Because no matter where I look, if it's the grades in history or the grades of the present time or the normal person, every life happens in seasons if you look at it. Maybe if you take a Greek philosopher like Marcus Aurelius, you look at his life and he has his seasons of he was in this family and then in this family and then he was emperor and then you have the philosophy aspect and then sure this flows together into a complete story, but you have segments of the story which tell a different part of his life and a different focus. And you can see this for yourself. If I look at my life, for example, I have the story of my beginning and growing up and kindergarten, for example. Then primary school was a story. Then high school was a story and a segment of my life, a season of my life. Then military, my 10-month military service in Switzerland here was a part of my life and a part of my story. And it was just a season. And it ended and I have it in my repertoire now, in my memory now, and I want you to understand that you have control over your seasons and you have the control over how this season will be shaped and if you want to change seasons. And for each season you want to set a focus because sure there will be many smaller priorities in there, inside each season. For example, during my high school season, it wasn't just high school. It was all the different subjects and going out with friends and playing sports and starting to develop certain habits of my life. Sure, but it all has this overarching theme of high school and developing myself. And this is past me now, but I have taken this memory with me that I can use in the future again and build upon this base. And I think of life as stacking seasons and building this tower with a solid base and then trying to build as high as possible. And the height of a season is impacted by how much impact this season has had on the fulfillment of your life, of the fulfilling feeling of your life, and the impact on others maybe, how great this season was from the outside. If you have a season where you're just indulging in yourself and a depressive season maybe, and it only lasts 2 months, but still this season has little value on the height of the tower. But you want to build big blocks of high impact, high fulfillment seasons that create this beautiful life that you want to look back on when you're 8 years or 9 years old. I don't know how old we get with the medicine and how everything is developing, but I certainly think older than 8 years. But compare the two versions of yourself at 8 years old and at 80 years old. Make them proud. And if each season makes at least one of them proud, you had a great season. And take this into yourself and try to find which season you are in and what you can take from it and how you can make this season great and how you can develop this season into the highest block season to build this tower as high as possible. Right now, for example, I'm in my launch season of VT, of my product, of my brand. I want to build this as good as possible and try to create this lasting impact for the future. And this isn't easy, for sure. And it might be a smaller season, but it's still a season that teaches me a lot and teaches me how to get into the next season maybe. I graduate at some point from this season and then I'm allowed to move to the next season. But I'm not done yet. So think of it like this. Each season goes by the quote, "This shall pass too." If you go by this, every high, every low will pass, and you will move through life with seasons of great memories and downtimes, which creates this bipolar, energizing life. But this is what excites us in the future, that we look back on. And yeah, military was terrible and hard, for me, for example. It was a downtime for my life. But now I get an even higher high out of it. And after military was over, I had 3/4 of a year that I could travel the world and have an amazing memory of this time that I can look back on in 20 or 30 years that I can be really, really proud of. So, after every low comes a high, and after a high may come a low. But this is life, and this is how we move through it. And just try to adapt to the current situation, and when you're not happy with the season you're in right now, try to change it. Try to find an end of this current season and try to start a new one. Nobody tells you that you can't reinvent yourself tomorrow. If you really want to, you can. And with this being said, this too shall pass, and you can go on, and I hope you find your next great season.